Alright, off we go. Ryan Hartson, BWC Internet Radio. Alright, this stuff's been interesting today. We just got done breaking down the AFC Championship game, all the weird stuff that was going on with that. And then, of course, we just got done also breaking down the NFC Championship game, Bears, Packers, a lot of different aspects to it. But really, the story today is this whole Jay Cutler thing. Just to set it up, I kind of took it out of my breakdown of the game for a reason, because what happened with Jay Cutler is completely different from how the NFC Championship game happened. So if you first clicked the NFC Championship game thing, thinking that it was going to be this is actually what it is. I mean, this is where all this Jay Cutler stuff, where I'm going to break this down kind of hard. Number one, Cutler's in the game. He really didn't do much to start with. They don't have his stats here, but he was ineffective. I can just say that he was ineffective. Did not play well at all. Excuse me. So he really wasn't playing well to begin with, and then he, there are a couple of things going on, like they're backed up in their own end zone, and he jumps up to try to deliver a pass, and and he falls back. He might have landed awkwardly on his knee there. It's kind of hard to tell. And, there are other times where he kind of falls awkwardly backward, and that could have been the injury. The bottom line is, we don't know when the injury occurred, and that's the problem, because if we knew where the injury happened and we saw when it happened, I think a lot of people would have been less critical of Jay Cutler. And, rest of the story, Todd Collins comes in, he sucks. Caleb Haney comes in, the third-string quarterback. He comes in, and he played pretty well. Got the Bears back in the game. Packers are able to pull it out in the end. Again, they win 21-14. Packers will play the Steelers in the Super Bowl 2 weeks from yesterday. So, all in all, the first thing with this Jay Cutler thing is, I wouldn't be so quick to say it wasn't a serious injury. Now, number one, it turned out it's a sprained MCL, which I'm not a doctor. I don't know a ton about knee injuries. My dad actually is in the medical field. He's a CT tech, does CAT scans. He said that a sprain isn't as bad as a tear, which makes sense. Now, the question is, does a sprained MCL prevent you from, right after the injury happens, immediately going back in the game? Now, number one, because it was a knee injury, I'm sure the medical staff wants to be careful with that, because you don't want to do even more damage. You don't want to turn a sprain into a tear, is what you hear all the time. Because a sprain can become a tear with more damage, obviously, because these things, once I just had some shoulder problems. Once something happens, like a dislocation, for example, I dislocated my shoulder, all of a sudden it just kept dislocating all the time. Because once something gets hurt, it's much more prone to get hurt again. So if you sprain your MCL, you're very likely to, do even more damage and end up tearing your MCL, which I know is a year-long injury. You are out for a year, and you are, they're cutting you open big time for some huge repairing surgery, and you're out for a year. So Cutler, in all likelihood, would have missed a ton of 2011 if it was a tear. So it's just a sprain, and just being on the cautious side. That's where I am with injuries. Injuries in anything. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I really, I would like to have a lot of information about injuries in sports, especially with players that I like to follow. And I do like to follow Jay Cutler. I thought he was going to be a great quarterback in Denver. Turns out he comes to Chicago, he doesn't have the weapons, he's not playing as well, and then everybody hated him, which is a different story that we might get to a little when we do the Jim Miller for President Sports program later this week. Me and Tim, along with Corey Bender, Willie McGinty, and Andrew Stevens, the entire BWC staff, breaking down these games as well as taking a look ahead at the Super Bowl. I just thought I'd plug there because I'm running out of things to say. Anyway, so I don't really want to question injuries. I'm a little nervous to say, oh, he could have gone back in the game because, maybe he said, with a chance to go to the Super Bowl or not, I don't really need to, tear my MCL. I'm just going to sit this one out. So, You kind of get it. If it was me, I'd be like, dude, my knee really hurts. I'm going to go chill over here. I'm out. And you know what? I'm not a football player. I haven't played football on any level. Honestly, I haven't. I just watch a ton of football games. I watch a ton of sports shows, whatever the hell that means. They're taking guesses just like I'm taking guesses, only they have a bigger audience than I do. My audience, honestly, my audience is 11 people. And to all 11 of you, honestly, I'm just kind of be like, you know what? I'm out. That's what I'd be with an injury. Like, I really don't need this right now. I've broken a toe before doing an activity. I was like, you know what? I just broke my toe. I really don't need to keep doing this anymore. Like that's I'm on the cautious side with the medical profession. I think that comes from my father being in the medical profession. You always lean on the side of caution, and football players aren't like that. You got to take their head off to get them out of the game. You got to carry them off the field with all this concussion nonsense and defensive players not wanting to change the way they play the game. Sorry, got something caught in my throat. To change the way they play the game, to with all this tackling stuff and the concussion and the helmet-to-helmet hits. Sorry, the helmet-to-helmet hits and all this nonsense. So if Cutler, being a normal human being of, I assume he went to Vanderbilt, so some intellectual prowess, saying, you know what, I don't need to tear my ACL for a friggin' football game. And you know what? On a normal human being level, that makes as much sense as anything can make sense. Like, I'm already hurt. I don't need to get hurt anymore. You know what? Let Todd Collins play. I'm good. On the human level, that makes 100% logical sense. However, you fans really don't think of football players as humans. You think of them as gladiators. I don't care if you're sprained. I don't care what hurts. Get out there and get us to a Super Bowl. And that's what Bears fans are saying today. They think he's a wimp. They don't think he's tough. They think he's disinterested. And they think that he can't get back, that he should have been able to, rather, get back into the game. And that's a problem. I mean, that's just a problem with society, I guess. Like, I don't mean to get too deep, but like, if it was your brother out there, you'd just be like, dude, don't play. You don't need this. You really don't need this. It's just football. But no, it's Jay Cutler, and you paid, hundreds upon hundreds of dollars for this crappy ticket in the nosebleeds at crappy, cold Soldier Field with that lakefront wind coming in. I've been in Chicago enough times to know when that wind comes off that lake, it is as cold as it can possibly get. It's unbelievable. And you're in Soldier Field, that weird spaceship coming out of the White House stupid stadium. I know how it feels. And you want to see something. You want to see him go in there and try to win for your team. You're so excited. You're so devoted. You're so into it. But at the same time, take a step back and realize he's human, and he really doesn't need to tear his MCL. He just doesn't. I don't know why everyone's criticizing him. Even other football players are like, you got to go in there. You got to be a gladiator, man. They're going to carry me off the field. Yeah, okay. Maybe they'd carry you off the field. Jay Cutler is like, you look at him, like, if he wasn't Jay Cutler, like, if Jay Cutler was the fourth string quarterback on the San Francisco 49ers and he was walking through a supermarket, no one would know who he is. He is as average Joe can possibly get. And yet he's the starting quarterback for the Bears, so everyone knows who he is, and he's got to go in there and he's got to play. But, he kind of looks like average Joe. I'm assuming he kind of is like average Joe. And he's like, you know what? I just sprained my MCL. My knee hurts like hell. I don't need to play. And that's his mentality because he's smart. He gets it. I don't want to get hurt anymore either. He doesn't want to get hurt anymore either. There's no reason to criticize him. And then you've got this whole other side of it with these crazy, irate, angry, moronic Bears fans setting fire to Jay Cutler jerseys in the parking lot. Hello. Are you kidding me? Why? Why would you set fire to Cutler jerseys? What did he do? What did he do? He got hurt. He got hurt. I saw him play. He came out. He tried to go in the third quarter. They go 3 and out. He limped off the field. He was in pain. I was watching the game and I could tell. You, all the Bears fans, you conveniently missed seeing him limp off the field. Because when I saw him limp off the field, one, I was thinking Aaron Rodgers has got to go down the field and get more points right now. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, dude, he looks hurt. The dude looks hurt. And it turns out, MCL sprain. Didn't want to get it torn, decided not to go back in the game. And you set fire to his jersey for that? Really? I mean, this is what I say about fans. These fans that are just angry and barely know what they're talking about in the first place, and then because they weren't gladiators and they didn't go back in the game and try to, go out there and try to get the Bears to the Super Bowl because, you're the quarterback and you're really not that hurt, and, that's why you're angry at him, because he didn't want to get hurt anymore, because he didn't feel like, having a huge major surgery and being out for a year for the Super Bowl or your knee. Come on now. He already makes millions of dollars. He really, I'm sure he cares a lot to get to the Super Bowl because that's a football player's dream. But in reality, he really doesn't need it. He's already making the money. He's going to have this hot girlfriend, apparently. He wins. Jay Cutler wins in the game of life. You don't, Bob. Sorry, you don't win with the beer going down your Bears sweater and your wife yelling at you out the door, "You're going to another Bears game, goddammit." Come on. Who won in that? Cutler did. And now you're going to criticize him for this injury? Seriously? Bears fans drive me crazy. This is nuts. It's absolutely insane. And, you know what? I'm glad it's over. Cutler, at the end, he made the right decision coming out of the game. No matter what any of you think. All right, good stuff. As I said, JMFPSP on the weekend. That'll be a good time with Tim, Willie McGinty, Andrew Stevens, Corey Bender as well. Myself will be with Tim to break down these games a little bit more. Look ahead to the big Super Bowl matchup. Steelers-Packers, man. I can just sink my teeth into that for sure. All right, thanks for being in. I'll see you next time. It's Ryan Hartson on BWC Internet Radio.